pretty good planning to, at the dying moments of the conference, to end up with a cemetery. As you've just heard, we formed Friends in 2005 because very little maintenance was being carried out, and people had actually been overnighting in the mausoleum. At that time, Glasgow Council appeared to have no conception of the enormous asset that they had, and I'm glad to say that now they are fully committed to conservation and restoration, and we work as a close partnership, so our dream is coming true. It's a very special Victorian garden cemetery consisting of 37 acres or 15 hectares in modern money. There are 50,000 burials and only 3,500 memorials, 32 of which are Grade A listed. It's situated on a whinstone or basalt outcrop immediately east of and looking down onto Glasgow Cathedral. What a fantastic setting. The land to the east of the cathedral was purchased by the Merchant's House in Glasgow in 1650 and mostly consisted of agricultural land, but the rocky outcrop was not suitable, so was turned into a park, initially called Fir Park and later on the Merchants' Park. The necropolis ownership was transferred to Glasgow City Council in 1960, along with a gift of 50,000. This statue is the first statue of John Knox to be created in Scotland. It was built here in 1824 while the area was still a park. I'm going to ask you, do you know where he was buried? Nobody?
Yes.
Where?
Car park.
Quite right, another car park burial. To be precise, number 23 outside the Parliament Hall in the Royal Mile. With the rapidly increasing population of Glasgow during the Industrial Revolution, these two burial grounds were almost full by 1830, and another place was needed. In 1828, Lawrence Hill, collector of the Merchant's House, and John Strang, a member, visited James Ewing in Glasgow House, which was situated where Queen Street Station stands today. Strang had been to Paris and visited the garden cemetery at Père Lachaise. To bury the dead in a garden setting was unheard of in Scotland, but fitted well with the Victorian view that life would go on after death, and people, if they could afford it, deserved to have a burial place that made a statement about their position and successful lives. It was decided that a proposal should be made to the Merchant's House that a Père Lachaise-style garden cemetery be established in the Merchant's Park. A committee was formed, and James Ewing, the past Lord Dean of Guild, made a full proposal to the Merchant's House in 1829, in which it was also pointed out that this could enhance the area into a resort, and at the same time would be a very lucrative earner for the charity from an otherwise unproductive piece of ground. The Mollendina burn is situated between Glasgow Cathedral on the left and the necropolis on the right, and crossed by the so-called Bridge of Sighs. In 1877, the burn, which was by then stinking, was put into a pipe to create what is now Wishart Street. This was the first of our restorations, all of which have been undertaken in conjunction with the City Council and Historic Environment Scotland. Wee Willie Winkie has supposedly been translated into almost every language in the world. The bronze medallion had been stolen, but was recovered from an antique shop in the West End. A fiberglass version for the restoration was made with the obvious advantage of fiberglass not being worth stealing. One of our members, a descendant of Thomas Eddington, gave us an extremely generous gift of 14,000 to be used to restore these gates, which are the oldest gates in Glasgow. They even have a gold leaf, which so far hasn't been stolen. The gates show the crest of the Merchant's House with a globe, a sailing ship, and the Glasgow oak, tree, and salmon, representing the organisation's worldwide trading ambitions from a Glasgow base. And looking from George Square, you can see the same thing on the top of the Merchant's House still today. The gate was built in 1838, and William Brown of Kilmerdinny was Dean of Guild that year. The Friends raised 28,000 towards the restoration of this mausoleum, which is unique in the cemetery, having been designed for 3 spinster ladies before they died. Apparently they didn't trust their relations to get it right for them. They were incredibly generous in leaving all their money, the equivalent of over 4 million in today's terms, for the good of the people of Glasgow and the Kilmarnock area, and their Buchanan bequest still operates today. I'm going to show you a few pictures covering the restoration of this severely damaged mausoleum, which had a tree growing out of the roof and 9-foot roots bursting the stonework. This is not a mausoleum. It was a store for the coffins between funerals and their final resting place being made ready. Interestingly, this gate was restored by using the gift aid from the donation for the main gate, and it was also made by the same company, Thomas Eddington. Sorry, I should go back and select go on. Yeah. Now, who's going to tell me what that means? That's a bit of symbolism up there. Dead easy, come on.
Time flies.
Time flies. Well done. This was all repointed and the gate stripped and rust and paint before priming and recoating. This was one of the worst, and it had even lost a third of its roof. You can actually see daylight in the before picture. Look at the remains of what were magnificent Moorish gates, thought to have been cast by either the Sun or Saracen foundry. This was a major piece of work, and the remaining good parts of the two gates were combined to form one complete gate. A mould from that was taken and another gate cast. I hope you like the colour it chose for the gates. This is actually the oldest part of the cemetery, and this restoration has been funded by the Jewish community from all over the country and has made a huge difference. The Jewish community had arrived in Glasgow in the 1820s, and the nearest place for Jews to be buried in consecrated ground was in Edinburgh, at that time a 2-day journey by horse-drawn coach or 4 days by canal, no railway. So what next? We're currently fundraising $60,000 to restore this fantastic mausoleum. You can see from these pictures that it is wearing away and crumbling and urgently needing attention. To fully restore would require the whole structure to be more or less rebuilt, which would cost millions. So critical work will be undertaken mostly so as to avoid any further deterioration, and some of the wee figures will be fully restored as examples of what the rest should look like. The inside shows the deterioration resulting from the earlier attempted restoration with cement pointing, which was at that time Historic Scotland's recommended system. This will require to be replaced with lime mortar, which is currently best practice. It is hoped that the Council is going to start on the restoration of this huge mausoleum this winter. This is a measured architectural drawing showing the work required. We're undertaking the massive task of recording a complete snapshot of the current state of the memorials in the necropolis. This involves photography, geographical pinpointing, stone condition, and transcript of any wording. With continual weathering, we felt it important to record as much as possible in the shortest possible time. We've been fortunate to have the assistance of a series of student volunteers, firstly from the University of Texas, and for the last 2 years, conservation students from Nicolaus Copernicus University in Poland. The latter being funded through the Erasmus programme and are mentored by the Glasgow architects Page Park. Glasgow University students have also been involved. This year, the Friends were delighted to be awarded the inaugural Scottish Heritage Angel Award for the investigation and recording section. To assist with our survey work, it seemed a natural thing to learn about photogrammetry and RTI, which we felt would also help with our efforts for fundraising, publicity, interpretation and communications. We were lucky enough to have coaching from Dr. Barry Maxwell and the Accord team from the Digital Design Studio of Glasgow School of Art. Photogrammetry is a system for creating 3D images of a structure, and we used it both outside and inside the MONTEATH mausoleum. As you can see, we required, those inside required to have masks because there was at least 100 years of pigeon poo and pigeons flying around still. Having taken hundreds of photographs, all from different angles, the software stitches together a 3D image. The image can be turned round and upside down and can also be used in conjunction with a 3D printer to produce a scale model. A most intriguing system. If anyone wants to see the scale model, it's on our table over there. The Access team also gave us, the Accord team rather, also gave us instruction on RTI, reflective transformation imaging. As you can imagine, many of the old headstones are very weather-worn and difficult to read. RTI is a magical method to allow people to read a great deal more of what would normally be unreadable, and therefore of considerable help in our monument recording. As you can see, this took place under a tarpaulin, and ideally would be done after dark. The passing public's imagination was running riot, and they really wondered what was going on. Again, hundreds of photographs are taken, but this time with the camera in a fixed position, but assisted by the reflection from a billiard-like ball, black ball, which is moved after each picture. The software stitches it all together, and the readability on screen is enormously improved. We're trying to raise funds for the kits and software required for both these systems. As our contribution to the national memory of all those who were killed in the Great War, we placed poppies beside the 156 relevant memorials in the necropolis and have published a map to enable people to find these memorials. And again, they're available over there. This has been done in hard copy and also on our website. We've provided a number of guided tours of these memorials, and in conjunction with Archaeology Scotland, held oral history sessions for the public to tell and have recorded their family involvement in the Great War. The Heritage Lottery Fund funded our World War I project. We've created a roll of honour on our website and profiles of most of the people. We still have a bit to go, so it's still work in progress. This is an example of the photos in one of the profiles, and this is the military and personal details of the same individual. There are approximately... Time? Oh, okay. There are approximately 46,500 people buried in unmarked graves, and though we think we know the areas involved, we do not know how they are laid out. A geophysical survey of some of the open areas was carried out by Northlight Heritage over 4 days under the supervision of Heather James and Carmen Cuenca Garcia. With students and friends acting as volunteer assistants, we were specifically looking for large stone-lined trenches used for multiple burials that were described in the burial records. 2 systems of geophysical survey were used, magnetometry and resistivity, in each of the 5 areas which were open and free from upstanding monuments. The results of the resistivity survey in Area 1 can be seen here. On the left is the geophysical data, and the interpretation of this data is on the right. The large red stripe probably reflects an old path. The blue blobs are possibly unmarked graves, and the other features are probably the result of landscaping activity. We invited Haghill Primary School to attend one day, which allowed the children to experience taking part in a geophysical survey and to learn how to record the World War I graves like an archaeologist. 2 wildflower meadow areas have been planted up, and this house sparrow plot was added this year to provide seed for the sparrows in the last quarter of the year. The Green Man was created last year, and next spring will also be planted with wildflowers. We always involve local schools in these plantings, and Hillhead High School assisted with the sparrow plot as part of their John Muir Award conservation project. The worldwide popularity of our website has been beyond our wildest dreams. Each month we have hits from 60 to 70 different countries. Top of the popularity are the tour bookings, our profile and history sections. The profiles are growing, but we still have a long way to go, and we're always looking for people interested in this sort of research. If anyone would be interested, please see me afterwards. Similarly, our PowerPoint lectures and tours are popular, and in addition to our regular public tours, we undertake group tours. These are great contributors to our fundraising and restoration. Now, people often ask how I became so interested in the necropolis, and it goes back to my early childhood when my mother used to take me to this memorial to her grandfather, so my great-grandfather, to cut back ivy. So to finish off, I thought I'd have a bit of fun at his expense. You've all eaten demerara. Where is demerara? No. No, it's what was British Guiana and is now Guyana. So it's northeastern South America. As you can see, he died there and he's buried in Glasgow, pre-refrigeration. How did they get him back? Pickled in rum, quite right, quite right. But the story gets worse, it's handed down to us. The lead-lined coffin was placed in the plantation. He was put in it. It was filled up with rum. There was a leak in one corner, and all the plantation workers were underneath till they could drink no more. While researching Humphrey's involvement in Guyana, to my immense joy, I discovered that a 1951 winner of the Miss Guyana competition was called Barbara Crum Ewing. It was unfortunately before the days of website pictures, so I have no photograph of her, but we do have one of Miss Guyana 2003, still with a strong West of Scotland connection. I have to suspect that her ancestors would have taken their name from Robert Glasgow, who lived from 1777 to 1804, and was the owner of the Sans Souci estate in St Vincent, who built Mount Greenham near Kilwinning. So there you are. You never know where the necropolis is going to take you.